Every day I'm thinking about how to make my YouTube content better, but sometimes I run out of ideas or I kind of hit a plateau. But yesterday, while watching Pokemon Rusty, I had a little bit of an epiphany.
Of course! I need a rival to drive me to be the very best!
Okay, so the idea of a rival is very good, but who would take me on in my crazy Gen 1 challenges?
Dang you, Teo, this is how you welcome me back to Generation 1?
That's right, folks. Year and a half of sitting in my room playing the Super Nintendo, I'm finally going to venture out in the world and take on my first rival. Now, if you don't know Razador, let me introduce you to an absolute legend. This guy is running Gen 3 Pokemon over on his channel, where he does an invasive species series, where he takes the Pokemon that's not supposed to be in a particular version and sees how fast he can beat the game with it. There will be a link to that in the description below. On top of that, he's one of my oldest channel members, and he even just named the Diglett in Madryred's Gen 2 Diglett run. Absolute legend. This guy is like Gary Oak pulling into town with a car full of girls and 10 badges, just flashing how good he is at this game. But now he's on my turf, Gen 1, where I think I just might have a chance to take this guy down. So let's break down the rules. Of course, this is a solo challenge. No other Pokemon in battle, no items in battle, all the standard stuff, you know. But on top of that, I'm going to be running my Paris on 0 DVs. Now, Razador did give me his best shot. He doesn't have the setup to do 0 DVs, but he did reset to get pretty low DVs, so I respect him for that. Thank you for giving me a decent challenge here. And I'm just going to compare myself at different points. Now, I don't have access to how many resets he had at different points or how many optional battles he actually took, but we do have the ability to compare level. Obviously, we're running the same Pokemon, so if I'm at a lower level than him, that tells me that maybe I'm doing just a little bit better. But there's only one way to find out. We're going to have to get into this. And as usual, the rival goes first.
Hey guys, what's happening? This is the first non-invasive species Pokemon video I've done in quite a while, and gotta say it feels pretty awesome coming back to the original days of Generation 1. I've always been a big fan of Paris, so as far as this run's concerned, real excited for it, but that doesn't mean that this run's going to be easy by any stretch. Cutting straight to the chase here, Paris is bug grass type, and normally nowadays it's 4 times weak to flying and fire. In Generation 1, however, bug and poison are super effective against each other, so that gives us 3 different typings that are 4 times super effective against us. And wouldn't you know it, Kanto is a game loaded with poison-type trainers. Gonna be fun. And while our attack is pretty good, our low speed is worse than our high attack is good for us, so we actually lose this first rival battle. Been a while since that's happened, right? Dang you, Teo, this is how you welcome me back to Generation 1? It's getting to that point, however, which is going to be rather challenging, if you will. See, Brock being the first gym leader in Pokemon Yellow is actually going to give us some cause for concern. As you probably guessed, we're going to be grinding in Viridian Forest for quite a while. Luckily for you, my dear hypothetical viewer, you're not going to be sitting through that atrocious grind. Now against Brock here, Leech Life is the play, and we're going to be using Stun Spore here. As I mentioned before, Brock has a lot of full heals. That's okay though, because we don't actually care all that much about that. He does run out eventually per Pokemon, and against Onix in particular, the speed drop from Stun Spore sticks, meaning that we are faster, and anytime Onix goes for Bide, we could just use Stun Spore. Even sped up 6 times in editing, this is a pretty long fight, and going over it blow by blow would mean that we're going to be here till the end of time before this is over, so don't mind me on that.
Alright, so Razador was able to beat Brock at level 20 using the Leech Life strat. Very, very simple, but I think I can beat him on this one. I think I can get a lower level on the Brock split. Starting off here on the rival, it's the same for me as it was for him. It's very hard to win the rival 1 fight. Eevee is just way too strong. But now we can move on to Viridian Forest, where we're going to level up. And the way that we always level up in Viridian Forest is we start off with this In Pokemon Yellow, this bug catcher leads off with a Metapod, which means you will always get at least some experience, even with Pokemon that can only use Struggle in this spot. And better yet, it's a guaranteed way to basically get 2 levels every single time. So we make quick work of this one, and now we can move on to the other trainers. After taking down everything in Viridian Forest, we're able to get to level 10, and that's actually good enough that we can now grind against the Light Years Junior trainer. We won't knock out both of his Pokemon, but we don't need to, we just need to knock out the Diglett. The Diglett gives more XP than a random wild Pidgeotto, so this is actually the fastest way to level up at this point in the game. In fact, we're just trying to lose every single time to the Sandshrew to guarantee that we get the easy level ups. Now we can also take on Rival 1A here, at level 15 he's not too bad, and now it's back to the grind. We're actually going to grind up to level 18 because at that point we get through a damage rounding threshold that actually makes us strong enough to take down Brock's Geodude. It might be tedious, but we are able to beat this Geodude consistently at this point, which means we're always going to get to Onix, where we can just hope for good luck, maybe some bides, maybe we can paralyze it, and we can hopefully get through this with just enough attempts. It's going to be close, but let's keep trying. So the key to this Brock battle is just making sure that we get to the Onix with enough HP, and at level 18 we're able to get there with 16 hit points remaining. And one of the quirks of Brock's AI in Pokemon Yellow is that whenever he uses Bide, he won't actually use a full heal until he releases the energy from Bide. Which means that if we paralyze him while he is using Bide, there's an additional chance that he'll just be fully paralyzed, meaning that even if we did hit him, he would never return the damage. Add to that the turns where he does use a full heal basically just give us free hits, we're whittling him down below half health here. Now we're just hoping not to get hit by Bind and not to get a bunch of Screeches followed by a Tackle because those will knock us out, but in this one, he goes enough turns without actually damaging us that it takes a million years, but we do actually manage to take this one down. And we level up to level 19, but we're still one full level below Razador. So I get to claim a small victory here at the beginning, but maybe Razador will show me up in the next section. And true to rival form, he's way out ahead of me, already fighting Jesse and James.
And I know what you're thinking. Jesse and James are awesome, which is an objective fact. But even for Paris, who is 4 times weak to 2 of their Pokemon, they're never really an issue for us. Pokemon Yellow is supposed to be based on the anime, although some of the major battles in this game, that doesn't really hold true. Well, Jesse and James being in the game is freaking awesome. It really makes me sad that we never got a Gen 3 version of Yellow. And as far as the 2 major battles in Cerulean City goes, we're actually going to go straight for Misty because we have Leech Life and Starmie is part Psychic type, so we'll be dealing super effective damage. Combine that with Stun Spore, where not only will we be faster once we paralyze her Pokemon, but there's a 1 in 4 chance that her Pokemon will never act, so we got a pretty efficient system going there. We'll make us a quick trip back to the Poke Center, drop us a nice, healthy save in front of Misty, and take her on. With Stun Spore, we are now faster than Staryu. Due to Misty's AI, she's never going to use her water moves against us, so this fight gonna be really easy. Again, the strategy here, Stun Spore so that we outspeed her Pokemon and use Leech Life. Once Starmie comes out, we're going to be dealing a heck of a lot more damage, and we'll keep ourselves healthy. We will certainly out-heal the tackle damage. And coming down from Gen 3, gotta say, runs where Brock is more difficult than Misty feels really rare. I am 100% okay with that, though. You guys know by now that our rival leads off with Spearow, which is awful for us. We have to survive the first turn and hope Spearow doesn't go for Peck because it doesn't have smart AI yet. Thankfully it goes for Growl, and with Stun Spore we will now be faster. Because Spearow chose Fury Attack instead of Peck, we live to fight another day as we take it out and get ready to battle the second member of our rival's team. Now, this Sandshrew is pretty annoying in this battle because it's pretty tanky. We have only physical attacks, and it goes for Sand Attack. One good thing about Gen 1, and I believe Gen 2 as well, is when the AI uses stat-altering moves such as Growl or Sand Attack, there's a built-in 25% chance for it to not work. That's why you saw the first Sand Attack fail. Really, this battle boils down to going for Leech Life, hoping we don't miss too much and keeping ourselves healthy because, well, I'm sure you've guessed by now that items inside a battle are not allowed in any way, shape, or form. I mean, the AI can use items, but it's not going to save them at the end of the day. We'll go.
So Razador has 2 badges now, and we've got a lot of ground to make up. But fortunately, this Paris is way over leveled at this point. You guys know in my runs, I sometimes beat Brock at level 6, sometimes beat him at level 8. So being all the way at level 19 right now, I feel like I'm a god in this section. I just destroy everything. Taking down this second bug catcher in this section allows me to get the level I need to learn Leech Seed, and we know we're going to use pretty much the same strats as Razador in this section. Now, one thing that I never understood about Gen 1 is why is Bug super effective against Poison? I understand the vice versa, you use Poison to take out bugs, but Bug versus Poison shouldn't be super effective, and yet it is. So in a fight like the Super Nerd where he has 2 Poison type Pokemon, I thought maybe we'd get knocked out by something like Smog, but no, we just heal up so much damage by using Leech Life over and over again that this one's never in question. It's not inconsistent in any way, shape, or form. We completely destroy his team. So with just a couple hits to take out the coughing, we can now move on to Jesse and James. And while I agree with Razador that Jesse and James are legitimately cool, they're not very strong in this one. Now usually I'm coming into this fight on 0 DVs and minimum battles, meaning that this is actually a really tough fight. But when you're over leveled like this in the early game, it becomes an absolute cakewalk. That's actually one of my biggest problems with a lot of solo runs when I see these weaker Pokemon. You end up having to level up so much to get through Brock that you basically take all the challenge out of the early game. But in this one, we at least kept our level as low as we possibly could getting through Brock, and now we can progress on basically minimum battles in this section. And thanks to our grass typing, we can go straight to Misty. Now, of course, the Misty fight is just as easy as Razador made it sound. All you have to do is use Stun Spore so that you can outspeed these Pokemon, and then you use Leech Life because it's the same type attacking move, and yeah, sure, she's going to use Harden, she's going to use X Defend, doesn't matter. At level 21, this is basically a guaranteed win every time. And just like that, we've got our second badge. But now, we have to move on to a much tougher fight, the Rival 2 fight. Because his Spearow knows Peck, and Peck is 4 times super effective, we just take 2 Pecks to get knocked out. But even if we get through this Spearow, and I'm trying to knock out Spearow as quickly as possible, the Growl actually affects this one quite a bit because we're a physical attacker at this point. And the next Sandshrew is incredibly bulky. In my first attempt, I took so many sand attacks, I couldn't hit, I couldn't do decent damage because of the Growl, and I get knocked out. Now, your first reaction might just be that I got worse luck than Razador, but that's not actually the case. Razador was in this fight at level 25, and because he was 3 levels higher than me, it actually turns out that he had 2 additional damage rounding thresholds. That means he's doing significantly more damage at this point in the game than my Paris is doing to these opponents. So, for me, what might be a 5-hit KO might have just been a 3-hit KO for him. Fortunately, on this attempt, we are able to get through all the way to the Eevee, and we just are hoping not to take too many sand attacks as we try to whittle it down. The misses are stacking up though, and it's getting me really nervous. Fortunately, Leech Life does heal damage as we get through this one. So really, it's just a matter of getting to the Eevee and then just hoping that it doesn't attack me too many times. I finally take Razador down. But since we both went on minimum battles here, the difference is still 2 levels. But let's see how Razador does in the next section.
Hey, we'll go ahead and make our way to the SS, and we're not going to really battle many trainers here because we don't need to. We do pick up the TM for Body Slam. It's going to be on our moveset for the rest of the run. The reason for that is that Body Slam is 85 base power, and there's a 1 in 3 chance that we can paralyze any Pokemon whom we hit with it. Well, any non-normal type anyway. Body Slam is normal type, so normal type Pokemon cannot be paralyzed off a Body Slam. That suits us just fine though, because really most of the Pokemon we're going to be fighting going forward in major battles are not normal type. And against Rival 3 here, you'll notice that we have Spore, a 100 accuracy Slate move, which is the real bread and butter of Paris' arsenal. Not much to say in this fight. Spore and Body Slam them all down for the victory. Actually, now that I think about it, we only have one more move left for us to get before we have our final moveset for the rest of the run. We're not going to be getting that for a little bit, but it's good to have 3 of the 4 donezo right here, right now. As we prepare to battle Lieutenant Surge, we'll drop a save. We are at 3 hours, 37 minutes. Not too bad. Now, Raichu is going to be faster than us, so we have to survive a turn, and, well, X speed? Alright, fine by me. Thanks to Spore, Raichu cannot act, and we don't quite one-shot it with Dig, which in Generation 1 has 100 base power, but a follow-up Body Slam seals the deal.
So just like Razador said, there's not really any reason to take optional battles in this whole section. In fact, the only really interesting thing to see is just how badly we destroy grass types here. These grass poison Pokemon are going to get completely wrecked. I predict Erica's going to be a cakewalk. But we can save Billy Boy from his Pokemon experimentations and make our way down to the SSN. But here's the point where I realized that maybe Razador missed something. You know, he doesn't generally play Pokemon Yellow, so he might not have remembered that he could get an extra rare candy on the SSN, and that might just give me the advantage that I need in order to beat him at the end. Now, I wouldn't usually take extra optional battles here, but this is one optional battle that always makes sense, because the extra rare candy is worth tons of battles in the late game. So just like Razador, I'd go ahead and get Body Slam because, hey, let's keep this apples to apples. If he's going Body Slam, I'm going Body Slam. It's going to be one of the best moves that we could teach our Paris anyway, so yeah, it makes sense. Now I move on to the Gentleman, where I proceed to get completely destroyed by his fire types. Now, I had put off learning Dig and Body Slam up to this point, but really, without these moves, this is a tough fight, and maybe that's the reason why Razador actually skipped it. But here with Dig, we are strong enough to basically one-shot these Pokemon. We just need for that Ponyta not to hit us with a critical hit Ember first. A non-critical hit is not enough to knock us out, and it's a one-hit KO. So now we can get that extra rare candy, and it's on to rival number 3, where with this overpowered moveset, Body Slam, Dig, we don't even have Spore yet, we're gonna get that later, but we should be able to get through this fight just fine. So let's get into it and find out. Here Razador leads off with his Spearow, but fortunately it's a one-hit KO with Body Slam. Now we level up and we get Spore, but we have a little bit of a problem. We're not fast enough to outspeed the Rattata, so we can't really go for the Spore strats here, instead I go for Leech Life. Now we do outspeed Sandshrew, which means we put it to sleep, and this is our chance to heal up very, very easily. And with it going down, we just have to put this Eevee to sleep. It did growl on me, but fortunately wasn't a sand attack, which means that we can get through on the first attempt, no problem. And with the SSN now done, we can move on to Lieutenant Surge. Now Dig should make this one pretty easy, but on the first turn a Mega Kick takes me down to 12 HP. I put it to sleep though, and he uses an X speed, fortunately that's fine, and I just Dig to take him down. So just like that, at level 27 we're through the 3rd gym badge. But how does that compare to Razador? Well, it's still a 2-level advantage because we both basically stayed on minimum battles, with the exception of getting Body Slam, and I took one additional fight on the SSN. But would you believe that this guy's already through the rock tunnel just as we're beating Lieutenant Surge?
Thanks to Dig, Rock Tunnel is absolutely no problem, so go ahead and cut straight to Lavender Tower where we'll battle our rival Teo for the 5th time since we did the optional rival battle. Furo gets put to sleep by Spore as it wastes its first turn with the Mirror Move, and we take it out real easy. Vulpix is next. We do take it out with one Dig, although we almost get one shot off a critical Ember. Thankfully, we did not get burned. Magnemite we somehow outspeed, goes down to one Dig. Sandshrew is up next, and if we can keep the darn thing asleep, we can go ahead and use this as an opportunity for us to heal with Leech Life. What is that, like 3-4 spores I had to use? Sandshrew really did not want to stay asleep. Eevee's up next, misses with Tail Whip, and we put it to sleep with Spore. Time to slam it down for the victory. Rival 4 is seldom an issue. Speaking of trainers who are seldom an issue, hello there, Giovanni. Now, Onyx might be weak to ground-type moves, but it does survive Dig, and despite its 65 accuracy in Gen 1, we do get hit by a Rock Throw, but still not a problem. As Rhyhorn comes out, I figure better safe than sorry. Put it to sleep and start spamming Leech Life so we can get to full health by the time we fight Persian. That thing is a beast in Generation 1. Due to Rhyhorn's high defense, that will take a few turns. Once we are at full health, however, we can go ahead and finish it off with a super effective 100 base power Dig. Yes, you heard me correctly, Dig in Generation 1 is as powerful as Earthquake. Despite Persian's critical bite, we managed to overpower with Body Slam and defeat Giovanni, yet Persian crits almost all the dang time thanks to Gen 1's critical hit system. If there's any Pokemon in the Viridian City gym battle who we're going to lose to, it will definitely be that Persian, I can guarantee you that. And as we make our way through Erica's gym, I do reset here, and that's because I'm not familiar with the Gen 1 layout of this place. It's been a very long time since I've done a Gen 1 run. And I gotta say, Erica is usually our punching bag in invasive species, but she has the potential to be real dangerous in this run. Remember at the start of the run when I said that Bug and Poison were super effective against each other in Generation 1? Yeah, she has 2 Poison-type Pokemon, or at least part Poison, although we do have Leech Life, so that can also work to our advantage. Speaking of changes in Yellow, she leads off with Tangela this time, and her Tangela has some pretty good moves. We're trapped in Bind for a couple of turns, but no problem with Spore. Tangela's asleep, and it's go time. It does take a few Body Slams, however. Tangela's base defense is really good. Weepin' Bell is next, however, and goes for Acid. It does outspeed us, and look how much damage that dealt. We're left with a single hit point, but we put Weepin' Bell to sleep, and it's 4 times super effective Leech Lifetime, baby. And by what I can only describe as the absolute grace of God, we outspeed Gloom, put it to sleep with Spore, and it's Leech Lifetime yet again. Finishing an Erica battle with full health, yeah, that's more on brand for our usual runs.
Now I know somebody in the comments will go crazy if we don't show a Rock Tunnel Hiker fight, but Razador didn't show it because it's so incredibly easy. We just put these Geodudes to sleep, and Dig is more than enough to take them down. It's not going to be a one-shot here on the Graveler, it's a 2-hit KO, but there's no risk, we always win this fight. So now, just like Razador, I'm going to take on my rival, and this one really shouldn't be too hard, but there are a couple of issues that Razador didn't run into. The Fearow is actually no challenge at all because it only uses Mirror Move due to Smart AI, and that means that it's only going to copy Spore when it's awake because we're slower than it. Now, when we get to the Vulpix, it can do a lot of damage with Ember, and this Magnemite knows Sonic Boom. So I keep getting to that section of the fight where I get to the Magnemite, but I have low enough health that a single Sonic Boom knocks me out. Somehow Razador gets all the luck in this one, because in his fight he was all the way down to 4 HP, but he didn't get hit by the attacks of his opponents, allowing him to heal up on the Sandshrew. We just need to repeat that kind of luck. We just need a run where we don't get burned, we don't get Sonic Boom, and we get through these 2 Pokemon, and then we should be home free. This time, the 3rd attempt, Magnemite finally misses, meaning we can get to the Sandshrew, put it to sleep, and now we get the free healing. So we just have to keep it asleep. It's very slow rolling here because of the fact that Leech Life isn't a super strong move, but now we're on to Eevee, and here it's just a matter of body slamming it down. So we've taken down the 4th rival. Very nice. And with that out of the way, the next logical spot is of course the Rocket Hideout, where we have no trouble against these trainers. The fact that Leech Life is super effective against Jesse and James just makes them a complete joke in this run. But this is actually the last section where Razador and I are going to have exactly the same routing. Because while I agree with him that the Rocket Game Corner is an easy place to get some extra experience, I don't think the Erica fight is really that consistent or easy. I'm going to try to take on Koga and Fuchsia City instead. But first we got to get through Giovanni, and this one I think is going to be a cakewalk, but I'm not sure. Here we can fortunately put this Onix to sleep, and it takes 2 digs in order to knock it out. On the Rhyhorn, we just need to keep it asleep, but assuming we can do so, it's another 2-hit KO. I just finished it off with Leech Life because it was on low health. And finally, we've got to take down the Persian. And Persian is the scariest Pokemon, but we managed to keep it asleep, which means we actually knock it out without taking any damage. So since we know that Jesse and James aren't any challenge in this one, we're going to skip straight ahead to going to Fuchsia City. And the reason we want to go there is because the required trainers in Koga's gym are Psychic-type trainers. We happen to have the only Bug-type Pokemon that also gets a Bug-type move that is not also weak against Psychic attacks. That's pretty incredible when you think about it. That means that we can basically absorb their confusions and headbutts without too much trouble, and we can use Leech Life for super effective damage to heal up. But there's also an important strategy in this section. You see, before we fight Koga, we want one of these jugglers with its Drowsy or Hypno to poison our Paris. And the reason is because Koga's smart AI means that his Venonats are only going to want to use Toxic against us. Well, if we already have Poison status, they can't Toxic us. And that means they're just going to randomize between their other moves, so once we put them asleep and we start using Leech Life, we should be able to just heal up and then knock them out. That's my goal anyway, but let's see if it's actually going to work out. I take down the second juggler, I get the poison I want, and it's into Koga's fight. So in my first attempt against Koga, I go in at level 36, and I'm just trying to basically put this first Venonat to sleep and use Leech Life to knock it out. But I'm noticing a problem. My Leech Life just isn't doing enough damage here, and because Poison does put me on a timer, I do actually need to heal up in this fight in order to get through it. We're not going to have enough PP in Leech Life, I don't think, though, because we've only got 15 PP, and we've got to get through these 3 Venonats. We've still got the Venomoth at the end. So, while I am gradually whittling them down, this just isn't looking good enough, and we might just lose this first fight. At this point, I've run out of Leech Life PP, so I'm switching into Body Slam to try to knock this one out, but the Venomoth has Smart AI, and it has another move to use against us, which is its own Leech Life. That means that it can knock us out on the first attempt. I decided to go into some rare candies here because I think with just some rare candies, maybe we can get to a damage rounding threshold, and then it's just going to be a matter of getting the luck that we need to get through this fight. But there's one more thing we can do. We can get to level 41 where we can get access to Growth. Growth is a badge boosting move, which means that it's going to make our Leech Life even stronger. Once we set up 6 growths, we effectively will be doing double damage every single time that we use that move. And maybe with that badge boost, we'll be able to get through this fight at our current level. But in order for this strategy to work, we absolutely have to keep these Venomoths asleep while we set up our growths. Because if we can't get the setup off and they're hitting us while we're also taking poison damage, we will get beaten here. But fortunately, once we get that setup done, we get through to each successive Venonat on full health, because we're just able to do so much more damage with our Leech Life when we hit them. And on top of that, we are now strong enough that we can survive hits from the Venomoth. So here we're just going to whittle this last Venonat down as we finish our growth setup, and there we go. We are able to knock that one out. Venomoth is out. Now we can put it to sleep, and the other thing I didn't mention, growth is also boosting our defense, which is why Venomoth isn't doing that much even when it wakes up and hits us with Leech Life. Now we're able to just whittle it down, and we have taken down Koga. We're at level 41, but let's see what level Razador beats this one at.
Now, Paris has had a real strong streak here, but we have to stop to level up for a little bit because Koga's team is in the mid to high 40s with a level 50 Venomoth as his ace fighter, and at Silph Co, our rival is going to have mostly fully evolved Pokemon, and that's going to be awful for us to deal with. That's also going to be the first battle in which we battle his evolution. So the plan here is to go through Koga's gym. We actually get 4 level ups here just off the trainers alone, thanks to our relatively low level. We're going to clean out Silph Co as well. I do want to get the TM for Swords Dance in there, so we're going to have to do that anyway. Dropping a save by Teo here, we are at 5 hours, 47 minutes. Time doesn't matter too much in these standard Pokemon challenges, just something I like to keep track of. Now, Sandslash does outspeed us, so we'll always go for Poison Sting. Although it's weak, we are 4 times weak to it. Putting it to sleep and setting up growth, not for offense, but for defense, is the play here, because most of our rivals' team consists of special attackers. Now, by this point, Sandslash and Magneton are nothing to write home about. However, thanks to growth, we do survive Ember from Ninetales, and unfortunately, as we go for Dig, we miss despite having a 100 accuracy move. Wait, what? I'm sure most of you who are watching this video are familiar with this mechanic, but for those of you who are not, I'll explain. You see, there's a bit of a problem with Generation 1 and its programming. I mean, that's true in a lot of ways. But all 100 accuracy moves are not programmed correctly. Rather than 100 accuracy moves hitting all the time, 100 accuracy moves, due to the less than rather than less than or equal to sign in the programming code, this means that all 100 accuracy moves actually have 99 point something rather accuracy. And before, when I said we have to level up, you might have thought that things would be too easy because we're a much higher level now, but as you're seeing on screen, we're having quite a bit of a time getting by the Silph Co rival here. We're going to lose this attempt here, but as we come back for, what is this, round 6, round 7? We're actually going to take a bit of a chance here. I'm going to get rid of the Sand Slash straight away because I absolutely do not want to get poisoned by Poison Sting as we're setting up growth. I figure it's safer to set up on Magneton. All I get hit by is a weak tackle. Though I will say that's mostly because Magneton missed Supersonic back-to-back, thankfully. God, I get hit by that all the time in invasive species. Magneton does hit us with Sonic Boom, but one dig and it's done. Thanks to growth, we tank the Ember from Ninetales, and thanks to the 1 in 256 glitch not happening, we one-shot Ninetales with Dig. Kadabra misses Disable, goes down to Body Slam. Growth saves us from Vaporeon's Aurora Beam, we put it to sleep, and Body Slam it down for a much needed victory. Now, if you'll excuse me, we're gonna go bully Giovanni, so I feel a little bit better about myself right now. Unsurprisingly, Nidorina will be faster than us, and even though it gets same type attack bonus from Poison Sting, we don't get poisoned and take it out with a single dig. As Persian comes out, Giovanni wastes time with a guard spec, we put it to sleep with Spore, and it's bye-bye Persian. After 2 body slams to take out Persian, Rhyhorn comes out, we are faster, we put it to sleep, and not surprisingly, we don't one-shot it with Dig. Again, Dig is strong in Gen 1, but we do not get the same type from it, and Rhyhorn has great defense. Same with Nidoqueen, but just like Rhyhorn, it can't handle Spore, Body Slam, and Dig combo for the win. With all of that out of the way, it's finally time to face down with Koga, who's much stronger than he is in Red and Blue. Fortunately for us, we are faster than the first Venonat, so the first one goes down without much of a hitch. Much to my surprise, we do outspeed the second Venonat, so second verse same as the first? I think so. Are we faster than the third one? Yes, we are. Wow, this is going way better than I thought it would. Koga's team has some pretty sick moves. Case in point with Venomoth Toxic, but because Koga does not heal any members of his team, we should be able to burst it down before Toxic runs its course. We do. Nice, easy first try against Koga. Gotta say, I thought that was gonna take more than one try.
So Razador's definitely doing good. He's fought a lot of trainers that we haven't fought yet, but the poison strategy going into Koga was definitely the play. We've opened up a 10 level lead on him at this point, and you could tell even from his commentary that he was a little surprised just how strong he was. So we're probably not needing all those levels to be consistent. But for now, I gotta backtrack. I gotta go fight Erica because we still have to get her badge. So as Erica leads off with her Tangela, we have a pretty huge advantage here because we now have a badge boost in speed, which means as long as we keep this Tangela asleep, we can set up growth and we're going to outspeed everything from this point. On top of that, because Spore is perfectly accurate, as long as we outspeed, we basically have no chance of ever losing. Once we get to the second Pokemon Weepinbell, we put it to sleep, it's a 2-hit KO with Leech Life, and put Gloom to sleep, and 2 more hits, and we take her down. But the primary reason for my routing in this one is because I want that badge boost. Our weakest stat is speed, and by getting badge boosts, we are able to overcome it. And beating Erica gives us another huge advantage. We can learn Mega Drain. Mega Drain might just be the single most important move in this entire run, because it's going to make the rest of the game very consistent. Making our way now to Rival 5, the strategy is very simple. We just need to set up Spore at the very beginning. This Sandslash is only going to use Poison Sting because smart AI, and that gives us the chance that we need to just set up, and from there, we basically just wreck the entire team. There's no real threat here on this team because we're up against the Vaporeon team. Yeah, the Ninetales could do something, but we've got growth to handle that. Jesse and James are a complete joke at this point, which means that we can move straight on to Giovanni. Now, I got a little cocky at this point. I thought I could just go into Giovanni's fight and just crush him, but on the first turn, that Poison Sting, yeah, it was a critical hit, but it did a lot of damage. Even after I put the Nidorino to sleep and do all of my growth setup, I can knock it out with a dig, but the next Persian knocks me out. So we actually had a reset on Giovanni here. I don't think that's ever happened in one of my runs. Fortunately, on the next attempt he uses a guard spec and we keep Nidorino asleep. I knock it out pretty quickly, and then I decide to put the Persian to sleep and do just one growth to set up here, and we knock it out. Now I'm going to finish my setup here on the Rhyhorn since we're guaranteed to outspeed it, and because, hey, it's going to be a super effective spot to just heal up off of this one with a single Mega Drain once we've gotten all the setup done. So here I just knock it out, and I can move on to Nidoqueen, where I'm now outspeeding thanks to badge boosts, and it's an easy KO. And at level 44, I'm still 7 levels lower than Razador, but the real challenge is still to come. Sabrina and Blaine. How are we going to get through this section? Razador might just close the gap.
Like Koga, Sabrina has a radically different team made perfectly clear to us with an Aber who only knows Teleport and Flash. X-Defend prevents us from one-shotting it, but thankfully it misses Flash and we take it out with a follow-up Body Slam. Kadabra does hit us with Kinesis, but thankfully we connect with Spore. This is a great time for us to go ahead and set up all of our growths because we are going to need it for Kadabra in the event we don't one-shot it, and most certainly we'll need it for Alakazam. Despite the accuracy drop, we don't miss Kadabra, easy one-shot with Body Slam. We do miss the next 2 Body Slams, but Gen 1 Sabrina has terrible AI and does eventually hit us with Psywave for 2 damage. Yeah, bye-bye, honey. Now, next up is Blaine, and if you thought I was worried about this fight, well, you'd be right. He has a Ninetales, a Rapidash, and an Arcanine. Fully evolved fire types compared to our little trippy boy, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is gonna take a bajillion tries. Of his 3 Pokemon, he leads off with Ninetales. Of course, it's going to be faster, and it goes for Flamethrower. Yep, that's about what I thought. Now, Blaine does not have quote-unquote smart AI evidenced by Confuse Ray here, and thankfully we do connect with Spore. So we're gonna go ahead and set up our growths in hopes that we can tank a fire move. We do hit ourselves once in Confusion, but no big deal. Ninetales does stay asleep for ages. It does slip in a critical quick attack against us, but no problem. We may be 4 times weak to his entire team, but we have Dig at our disposal, so at least we have a powerful tool to fight back with. With Rapidash down, we put Arcanine to sleep just for safety. It does no Reflect. And wow, beautiful. That was, not the way I expected that was going to go. 2 tries for Blaine as Paris? Heck yeah. And Giovanni's up next, also has a radically different team from Red and Blue. The normally dangerous Doug trio can do very little to us as we take 1/4 damage from all ground moves. After putting it to sleep with Spore, we take it out with 2 Body Slams, and next up is Persian. Thanks to Persian's double team, we do miss the first Body Slam, and then we end up eating a critical hit Slash. 2 of them, in fact. Yeah, like I said before, Persian gonna take us out. So we're gonna go ahead and set up growth against Doug Trio here, and that's not for defense this time, as there are no special attacking moves on this team aside from, I think, Nidoqueen's Thunder. And yeah, spoilers, we win this fight, as you'll see here in a few seconds. Anticlimactic, I know, but must explain something real fast. Again, many viewers here probably already know about this, but for those of you who don't, well, there is this little thing called the Badge Boost, feature. The short version, every odd-numbered badge gives us permanent stat boost by 12.5% whenever we use status-boosting moves, or even if we get hit by a stat reduction move like Growl or Sand Attack, those badge boosts are reapplied, so we get stronger clear across the board. So when we use Growth for Paris, we are also buffing our attack, defense, and speed, though I will say that when we level up, the game does correct itself, and we do lose those glitchy boosts. So if you ever want to do a glitchless Generation 1 run, you'd probably have to find a ROM hack that corrects all that stuff. And what better way to show that in action than against Rival 6 here. Leading off with Sandslash as usual, we put it to sleep and we're going to be setting up growth, and you'll notice that we are now faster. I made sure to level up before this fight so that we wouldn't level up during the fight and lose those awesome extra boosts. It's like Paris gaining Ultra Instinct. Case in point, look how much more damage we do to Sandslash with Body Slam. Still takes 2 though. We'll put Execute to sleep, it stays asleep, and we one-shot it with Body Slam. We're now faster than Magneton, so 1 dig and it's done. The same with Ninetales. Dig allows us to avoid Ember, and bye-bye. Body Slam one-shots Kadabra. We do a ton of damage to Vaporeon. It does wake up early, but doesn't matter. A follow-up Body Slam seals the deal.
So one deviation from Razador's run is that I'm going to pick up this Solar Beam TM on my way to Blaine, and now we're going to try to take him on. It looked like it wasn't too hard in Razador's run, but I'm at a significantly lower level. And true to form, Blaine is an absolute nightmare here. Single flamethrower knocks us out. On top of that, this Ninetales, it's gonna always outspeed us at the beginning, and it can use things like Confuse Ray. Tail Whip is kinda bad if we end up getting hit with a physical move. I end up just resetting here a ton of times trying to get through even the first Pokemon. So I got this run right here where it looks like I'm making decent progress. I'm getting all of my growth set up, but I am confused, so I've done quite a bit of damage to myself. And sure, I just want to outspeed. I'm trying to heal up with a Mega Drain. We just got to try to keep this one asleep, I think, and maybe then we have a chance. The Ninetales is still faster even after we set up all of our badge boosts. And now I'm going to try to heal up off of it, but even with all the growths, Mega Drain doesn't do that much damage. Yes, I could use Dig to take it out faster, but then it lands a critical hit and just knocks me out. I ended up adding one rare candy here so that I could get to a new damage rounding threshold at level 45, and if I level up in the middle of the fight, I won't lose my badge boosts. So now we're trying to just set up on the Ninetales, and I'm really hoping that I can get all of my growth set up without taking too much damage. Then, once we got all the growth set up, we can use Mega Drain in order to heal up in this fight. On top of that, if the Ninetales uses Tail Whip, or maybe the next Rapidash hits us with a Growl, that will be an additional badge boost. We're still taking a lot of damage from that Fire Spin, and Stomp nearly knocked me out, but now I'm going into Mega Drain in order to heal up after I've put the Rapidash to sleep. We take it down, and now we're all the way to the final Arcanine. We just need to put it to sleep. We get a takedown, but that's fine. It turns out to be a 2-hit KO with Dig. And there we go, we have gotten through Blaine. So before we move on, let's quickly check how Paris is doing in terms of its performance on the tier list. Currently, we would be at a low A tier finish. We've got 50 resets, 42 optional battles, and a couple of TMs. That's pretty incredible when you think about it. We came into this with a Pokemon that's got multiple 4x weaknesses that are actually exploited by the game, and yet we're not really too bad. We're pretty solid at this point. So I'm going to move on to Sabrina. I don't think we need to take any optional battles here. Let's hope we can beat her just like we did Blaine. Now Sabrina is easily the trolliest gym leader in Pokemon Yellow, because she leads off with the Abra that only knows Flash. We actually like the fact that we get badge boosts from it at least whenever it drops our accuracy, but then we actually have to land the hits. We're trying to use Dig here to take advantage of the fact that these Pokemon don't have great defense, but if we can't land a single hit and we can't keep them asleep, we get knocked out just like that. On the second attempt, I'm going to try this again. We're hoping really that she just goes like X defend turn 1. We are able to put the Abra to sleep, set up, get a nice long sleep hopefully, and then be able to knock it out. But even with all the badge boosts, we're not really going to outspeed here. We're way too slow. But we can manage to knock it out. We get to the Kadabra where we survive a Psychic because, hey, we've got such a high special stat, and all the way to Alakazam when it critical hits us to one-shot us. Maybe the third time's the charm, but we have to get through this Abra without taking tons of accuracy drops. Otherwise, we really just don't have much of a chance. We're really just hoping and praying that we can land the hit. In this one, though, we do manage to knock it out after a couple of misses, and we are on to Kadabra, which is an easy one-shot, and now Alakazam, one hit takes it down. Next up, Giovanni. Now, I don't expect Giovanni to be super difficult in this one, because as long as he doesn't hit us with Fissure, he's probably not going to knock us out with the Doug Trio. We can survive a Dig, an Earthquake, they don't really matter, so we can just set up all of our growths right here on the first Pokemon. We're just trying to keep it asleep so that we keep our health as high as possible, but then Mega Drain heals us back to full health. Here on the Persian, he uses a guard spec, so we're able to put it to sleep, and 2 digs knocks it out. And now both of these Nidos, their AI is actually set where they're only going to use Tail Whip and Leer against us, so we'll always get through these 2 Pokemon. Finally, against the last Rhydon, it's a single Mega Drain to knock it out. So with 8 gym leaders down and minimum battles since the SSN, we're actually doing pretty darn well in this one. But now we have to get to the final rival fight before we take on the Elite Four. And Razador's ready to give us a real test before we get to the final section. Now this fight was especially infuriating because it's our final pre-league fight with Razador. He just seems to get all of the luck. In the very first attempt, he lands a critical hit with Poison Sting, and I basically can't continue, I had to reset right here. Then, in this second attempt, I go back in thinking, okay, that was pretty lucky. He just goes ahead and lands Poison on me the first turn. So now I'm poisoned and I'm trying to whittle him down. Fortunately, I do put him to sleep, which means I can now set up all of my growths. And I'm just assuming that if I get growth set up and then use Mega Drain, I should be able to heal up enough damage that even with poison, this should be a possible battle. So I'm just going to take a lot of time to get through this one because I've got so much setup and I've got to keep my health up. I'm going to put this Execute to sleep and then just use a couple Mega Drains to knock it out. It actually turns out to be a 3-hit KO range here though. Fortunately, he just potions and we're able to knock it out. But in another case of the worst luck ever, we land a critical hit on the Magneton, and then the Ninetales knocks us out. So now we have to go in another attempt, but I'm going to use a rare candy here to prevent myself from losing my badge boost midway through the battle, and maybe with the badge boost we would have gotten through that Ninetales? Maybe. So here it's back to the tedious grind, but we don't get poisoned this time, we don't get a critical hit this time, we're able to keep it asleep while we set up all of our growths, and this Sandslash is going down on this one. We're at full health on the Execute. We outspeed, now we can use Dig. I just wanted to see how much it would do. Actually, Mega Drain probably does more damage. We Dig and one-shot the Magneton. We take a single hit, but then we knock out the Ninetales. And now I'm going for Spore and Mega Drain here on the Kadabra, just to get back a little bit of health and make sure that we knock it out. Here, Psybeam doesn't do that much damage, and then we Dig it down. Finally, against the Vaporeon, it's actually never going to hit us with a damaging move, because its only damaging move is a Water-type move. So here, we're actually guaranteed to win when we get to this point. I just finished my setup and go for the Mega Drains in order to slowly knock this one out. So in spite of losing, Razador says he's ready for the league, and I guess I have to give it to him because he did knock me out a couple times, but let's see how his league journey goes.
All said and done, we'll go ahead and breeze our way through Victory Road and drop a save right in front of Lorelei's room. We are at 8 hours 22 minutes, not too shabby. Between animations and playing at normal speed for a change, this has taken a little while, but I don't mind. This run is solely for fun. Now, despite that awesome feature, we are still very slow, so against Lorelei here, we're gonna have to try and survive the first turn, which we don't do because we get one shot by a critical hit Aurora Beam. Honestly, I thought we'd last longer than that. Except number 2, we don't get critically hit, and it's time to go ahead and work our Spore Growth magic. I will set up additional growths throughout the battle. I am more curious about the damage, and considering how quickly Dugong went down and how fast Cloyster is going down, I'd say we're in good hands here. Ah, there's Cloyster, and yeah, we are dealing about 1/3 of its health. That's pretty good considering Cloyster's base defense. As Slowbro comes out, I'm sure we're faster naturally. We'll put it to sleep and finish setting up our growths. Even if we somehow do level up during this fight, we'll at least be tanky enough to take some ice attacks. With Slowbro down, Jinx is next, and thankfully we're faster. Put it to sleep with Spore, one Body Slam, it's a done deal. With that level up causing us to lose our secondary effects, we are still faster than Lapras. I did not see that coming. And although we don't deal very much damage to Lapras with Body Slam, we're still able to take it out safely. You might be wondering why I never bothered with Mega Drain. That's because Paris is a physical attacker and will get more mileage out of Body Slam and Dig than it will Mega Drain, despite growth. Now, Bruno in Generation 1, yeah, he's not really much of a problem. Honestly, I'm not even going to bother talking about this fight because he's so easy. Although, I will say one thing about this fight. Although Bruno's AI does random things, the use of X-Defend in this battle, though not intentional, is actually quite good. But yeah, the reason why I say we'd get more mileage out of Body Slam and Dig is not only is Paris a physical attacker, but Mega Drain's not very effective against many of the final battles here. And considering the extra badge boosts we get from setting up growth, we're even stronger physically, so I figure, hey, what the heck. I know that Lance's Aerodactyl is going to be a problem, but we'll deal with that when the time comes. And another reason why we keep Dig is that in Generation 1 abilities do not exist, so the part poison type for the Ghastly line that Agatha has, 2 Gengar and 1 Haunter, means that they will take super effective damage from a base 100 power Dig with a relatively strong physical attacker like Paris. Speaking of Agatha, again, not gonna go recap blow by blow in this battle because this battle is so crazy with Agatha's little gimmick where she likes to swap out at the most random of times. We'll say though that in Generation 1, Substitute is freaking awful. You can put Pokemon to sleep behind Substitute. And I mean, I'm glad that's the case because that makes dealing with the first Gengar a lot easier, but like, what does Substitute even block in Generation 1? I guess maybe stuff like Sand Attack? That is still kind of useful, but compared to Substitute later on, it's a really bad move. The only real threat on her team is Golbat because I do believe it has Wing Attack. We also cannot damage Golbat with Dig, but the rest of her team we can, and thanks to Arbok not having Intimidate yet, this is easy. Case in point, the battle is already over. Now, Lance is up next, and unlike in Red and Blue, his team's moveset here is pretty good. We have a Dragonair with Ice Beam, we have Dragonite with Blizzard and Fire Blast, the latter of which is 4 times super effective against us, and he has an Aerodactyl with Fly and I believe Wing Attack. Both of those moves are also 4 times super effective against us. With Gen 1's critical hit system, that thing's gonna be critting us all the time, I'm sure. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. We're gonna drop us a nice save at 8 hours 36 minutes. Not bad. As always, Lance leads off with Gyarados, and things don't start off so great for us as we immediately get hit by Hyper Beam. Although it does great damage, we put Gyarados to sleep with Sport, and it's time to set up our growths again. Thankfully, Gyarados does cooperate for the most part, and by the time we are faster and it wakes up, we can put it right back to sleep. And to KO Gyarados, we need not 1, but 2 Body Slams. Easy peasy. Now, to conserve Body Slam power points for the remainder of the fight, we're going to Spore the 2 Dragonair, use Dig to one-shot the both of them. We cannot hit Aerodactyl with Dig, and it does resist Body Slam, and thankfully we are faster, courtesy of our little badge boost feature. Lance does heal Aerodactyl with a Hyper Potion, but it's all for naught as it stays asleep. 3 more Body Slams, take it out. And we're pretty much good here because we don't miss with Spore courtesy of the 1 in 256 glitch. And as we prepare for our showdown with the champion, just want to say if you are familiar with this badge boost feature, badge boost glitch as it's normally called nowadays, you and I both know how this got famous, courtesy of our man J-Rose with his series. Now, I just want to say real quick, I have no intention of trying to steal anyone's thunder or copy him or anything. The only reason why I'm talking about it in the first place is because I might have viewers who aren't familiar with it. I do think it's worth pointing out just how much stronger Paris is with this little feature. But back to the run here, 8 hours 40 minutes, not too bad as we square down with the champion. And just like against Lorelei, and the first turn against the champion Sandslash, we have to hope that we do not get poisoned off a Poison Sting. We're going to be taking quite a bit of damage from it too. Sandslash might crit us too. That thing does have good base speed, so it has a good chance to crit. Thankfully it doesn't, and we put it to sleep. Time to set up growth. And just like before, once we outspeed Sandslash courtesy of our little growth extra power up, we can just put it back to sleep with Spore and finish up. And once we finally go on the attack, looks like it's going to take 2 Body Slams to KO Sandslash, and yes, 2 Body Slams, very good. We'll put Alakazam to sleep just for safety, and 1 Body Slam's all it takes, very nice. Executor needs to be put to sleep because we do not one-shot it with Body Slam evidenced here, but the follow-up does the trick. Ninetales is up next, but it can't handle a single Dig. We go for Dig against Magneton. Swift can't hit us underground. It does crit us, but it can't withstand a single attack. As Vaporeon comes out, we'll put it to sleep. Body Slam brings it down low, and for a dramatic effect, we'll finish it off with Dig. Wow, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Paris could have definitely no-saved it, but I don't care. Paris...
So overall, Razador had a great run here, and he's really going to give me a challenge because... yes, I might be a ton of levels lower than him right now, but I still haven't used my rare candies, which are almost certainly going to be needed. Let's get into the Lorelei fight and find out. Now, one spot where I have to disagree with Razador is when he talked about whether or not he should use Mega Drain. Mega Drain is absolutely the play in this spot because with growth setup, we are effectively giving ourselves a 4 times increase to our special stat. And with that huge increase, we are making sure that not only can we do better damage with Mega Drain, but we can also heal up off of our opponents. So even at a lower level, we're doing way more to each of these Pokemon, and it's still going to be useful even against Lance when we get to the point of fighting the Gyarados and the Aerodactyl. It's going to be neutrally effective in both of those cases. But our second attempt ends with a lucky critical hit from Jinx. All the growths in the world don't matter when you get a critical hit because critical hits ignore all stat changes. So I'm going to drop one rare candy to make sure that we don't lose our badge boosts in the middle of the fight, and hopefully we can get back to Jinx, and we should always get there on full health because we're Mega Draining here on the Dugong, Mega Draining on the Cloyster, Mega Draining on the Slowbro, but it just remains to be seen if we're going to get terrible luck in this one. Here, I've got the Dugong asleep, I've got my setup done, and I just proceed to knock it out. On full health on the Cloyster, it's a 1-hit KO. It's a 2-hit KO here on the Slowbro, very close to knocking it out in one shot. Now I'm going to go for Dig on the Jinx. The Ice Punch doesn't knock me out this time, but I'm not quite doing enough damage with Dig. We can see Mega Drain did a lot more. Now on the final Lapras, we do outspeed, we put it to sleep, 2 Mega Drains knocks it out. So Lorelei's done, and we can move on to Bruno. Now on paper at least, Bruno is the single easiest Elite Four member for our Paris, because hey, its Pokemon can really do basically nothing to us. Outside of elemental punches from the Hitmonchan, which aren't very strong anyway, there are no super effective moves. We can just set up all of our growths here on the first Onix and one-shot it with a Mega Drain. It's a one-shot on Hitmonchan, it's a one-shot on Hitmonlee, it's a one-shot on Onix, and now the Machamp lands a pretty huge hit on us, and a second hit with Karate Chop knocks me out on the first attempt. That's ridiculous. We just got beaten by Bruno. Okay, well, that's just kind of bad luck. We probably should have just put the Machamp to sleep. I got a little cocky there. Happens sometimes. I just come in here and I think, oh yeah, it's Bruno. He's not bad at all. He's going to be easy. No. Sometimes you actually have to pay attention to what you're doing and put this guy to sleep. So in the second attempt, we're completely destroying his team. We're back to Machamp, and a critical hit submission knocks me out in a single hit. Are you kidding me? We have to take a third attempt on Bruno now. This is completely stupid. Now you may have noticed in the intro of my Rival Razador earlier in the video that I put his head on a body of a black belt, and that's not an insult because in this one, the only fighting trainer that we fought this entire game is actually beating us. On the third attempt, we're finally back to the Machamp. I'm going to put it to sleep. He X defense, which gives me the perfect setup, and now 2 Mega Drains knocks Bruno out. But it's not smooth sailing yet, because now we have to take on Agatha. So for Agatha, I decided to take my first few attempts with my moveset as it is, because if I don't have to change anything, then it's probably best not to. We need to at least have one other attacking move than Dig, because Dig cannot hit this Golbat. But maybe if we can just manage to get all the setup off with our growths, we'll be survivable enough that we can get through this fight. Unfortunately, in the first attempt I get paralyzed by a lick, and now I just have to really hope that I can manage to survive long enough in order to knock these Pokemon out. Here, it takes quite a bit of time even to get through a single Pokemon because Mega Drain isn't that strong against the Golbat. So in the next few attempts, I decide to change up my moveset, and what I decide to do is to put Solar Beam in the place of Mega Drain. Solar Beam, when it does hit, is going to be 3 times stronger than a Mega Drain, and if we boost it up with all the badge boosts, it's going to be great. So how can we get more badge boosts? Well, we can go ahead and learn Swords Dance. Swords Dance over Dig. That's right, I'm going into this one with only Solar Beam as an attacking move. But that's because if I can get all the badge boosts off, I'll actually be able to outspeed most of Agatha's team. And with outspeeding in place, we can then just rely on Spore to keep them asleep, and as long as they sleep one turn, we'll be able to use Solar Beam the next turn and hopefully knock them out. So here I've put the Gengar to sleep, I'm going to put this Golbat to sleep, but it knocks me out with a single wing attack. Coming back, I use one rare candy in order to get an extra level to prevent any level ups in the middle of the fight that might lose my badge boosts. And you might notice that my score has really tanked over there on the right side. That's an error. I basically kept resetting and then relearning my TMs, and it was screwing up my whole scoring system. We'll fix that at the end. But here, we basically just use this same strategy. We are getting on fairly low health against the first Gengar, but if we can get the setup off, it shouldn't really matter. After Agatha does a little bit of swapping around, we're now ready to use Solar Beam on Gengar, and it one-shots it. Here on the Golbat, it turns out to be a 2-hit KO with all of our setup. Against Haunter, it's just a Spore followed by a Solar Beam. It's going to be the same thing here on the Arbok. We don't really need to do a whole lot of setup. Now we're outsped by the final Gengar. There's nothing we can do about that, but we do manage to put it to sleep, and one Solar Beam doesn't knock it out. We're getting on fairly low health, it put me asleep, but then I immediately woke up and used Solar Beam to win the fight. So there we go, we've gotten through Agatha, we're ready to go to Lance. We might have a shot at beating the game at a significantly lower level than Razador. I decided to use 3 rare candies here just to be safe, but now it's time to get into the fight and see if we can take this guy down. So the strategy here is clearly that we want to put the first Gyarados to sleep and then set up all of our growths right here. But even at this point, moves like Dragon Rage are doing tons of damage, and if it manages to hit us with a Hyper Beam, game over. We need to get some pretty decent luck on this first Pokemon, but I noticed after a few attempts that we have another issue. Aerodactyl is incredibly fast, and Aerodactyl has 4 times super effective moves in Wing Attack and Fly. And there's actually only one way that we can manage to outspeed that Aerodactyl at our current level. What we need to do is we need to set up all of the growths and the Swords Dances on this first Gyarados, but then we need to get 2 additional badge boosts. Fortunately, Gyarados does no Leer, so if we can just get 2 Leers, we will be able to outspeed the Aerodactyl. We'll get to 187 speed. And then we have a shot. We can put these Pokemon to sleep with Spore. Spore is 100% accurate, mind you. And then we just need them to stay asleep for at least a turn while we use our Solar Beam. So that's my strategy. I'm going to set up all of my Swords Dances and all of my growths on this Gyarados. And now I'm just hoping that it will use some Leers on me. So I'm not trying to knock it out. I finally get the Leer that I was looking for. I've got 187 speed. So now I'm going to use Solar Beam to one-shot. I can put the Dragonair to sleep, and then as long as it stays asleep one turn, we're going to one-shot it with Solar Beam as well. Same for the second Dragonair. Now the moment of truth. Spore lands on Aerodactyl, but we get a critical hit stopping us from one-shotting it with Solar Beam. Fortunately, it stays asleep and we knock it out the next turn. Now Dragonite, we need to put it to sleep, and this is actually a 3-hit KO range in order to knock out the Dragonite. Now I want to make sure that they sleep at least one turn before I use the Solar Beam because Blizzard, Fire Blast could critical hit and knock me out here. I actually get burned by the Dragonite, but he has used his Hyper Potion. Now the Dragonite is actually going to wake up, it misses with its attack, and I'm able to knock it out in the end. So there we go, we have taken down the Elite Four. All that remains is Razador himself. And I've got to give it to Paris. This has been one heck of a run. And as we use our last 2 rare candies, we're going into this champion fight 10 levels lower than Razador beat the game. If we can get through this right now without having to go back through the Elite Four, without having to grind any more levels, we can claim a pretty big victory against our rival in our first major showdown. But with 6 Pokemon on his team, is my strategy of double badge boosts with Solar Beam going to be enough to knock all these Pokemon out? Are we going to take a ton of resets here? Let's get into it and find out. So Razador sends out his Sand Slash, and I go ahead and start setting up. But man, that Poison Sting, a 15 base power non-stab move, is doing so much damage. Only 2 hits, and I'm already down to 34 HP. It looks like it's basically a 3-hit KO here. Fortunately, with badge boosts, I can outspeed, and I'm able to finish my setup, and then a single Solar Beam knocks out the Sand Slash. I put Alakazam to sleep, Solar Beam, and it's a 1-hit KO. Now against the Exeggutor, of course it resists my move. It turns out to be a 2-hitter with the Solar Beam right here. I have to put it to sleep a second time, but that's fine. Now Ninetales, put it to sleep, and it's not quite a 1-hitter. It was very close. He uses a full restore, but I put him back to sleep, and then I get the range on the second attempt. Now I put Magneton to sleep and knock it out. We just have Vaporeon. It hits me with Aurora Beam because we leveled up just before the final Pokemon. That was ridiculous. Razador gets all the luck, I swear to God, but I'm gonna beat him at this level. So round 2, I know I'm gonna beat Razador this time. That was just bad luck on the final Vaporeon, but here, on the first Sand Slash hit, he gets a critical hit with Poison Sting. Are you kidding me, Razador? You're killing me. Here, I try to do all my setup, but he knocks me out. Okay, 3rd time's the charm. We got this. Razador, you're going down, dude. So I'm going to put him back to sleep. That's another critical hit from Poison Sting on turn 1. Are you kidding me? Dude, how did you hack this game? What did you do to my Pokemon Yellow cartridge? Alright, well, I've still got this. We're going to set up. We just need to not get terrible luck, and we should have an easy victory here. Here I'm all the way down to 46 HP on the very first Sand Slash, but maybe after all of the growths we'll still have enough HP to survive a single Aurora Beam. That's all I need. I just need to survive Aurora Beam at the end and I will win. A Solar Beam knocks out Sand Slash, a single Solar Beam takes down Alakazam. Now we just need to keep this Exeggutor asleep. I don't want to take any damage here. We managed to knock it out with 2 hits. Now it's time for Ninetales. In this one, I get the range. A single Solar Beam knocks it out. A single Solar Beam should knock out this Magneton as well. We're back to the Vaporeon. This time it uses Mist, and there we go. We have the victory. We end up beating the game a full 9 levels lower than our rival Razador. Now this is completely unoptimized. There are plenty of little spots that I could have made better, but I do have to give him a little bit of credit because at the end this was not completely consistent. As we saw, we were taking too much damage from the Sand Slash with Poison Sting. Now as far as the final score, it actually turns out to be quite a bit higher than what's showing on the screen right now because we had the issue with over-counting when I was relearning certain TMs. In fact, we actually only used 5 TMs in this one, which means that the final score is actually 76.1. That puts Paris above Pikachu. That's pretty ridiculous given that Pikachu was using double team strats in order to get through the game, and this isn't even a fully optimized run. There were tons of spots that I didn't know what I was doing. I was just kind of guessing, figuring out if I needed to use a rare candy or not. So this is pretty incredible. We also beat Pokemon like Pidgeot, we beat Lapras, we beat HM Mule. So Paris is actually a lot better than I would have expected it to be. But now we have to answer one major question. Can Paris beat Mewtwo? And wait, it looks like my rival Razador is getting to it before me? What?
And I'm happy to say that because of who we name-dropped our rival as, the run's not over yet. You see, in Teo's RBY series, he always ends off by beating up Mewtwo, a fact I love, by the way, as I myself am not a fan of Mewtwo. We're gonna go see how Paris does against Mewtwo, and as we make our way through Cerulean Cave, you can tell I haven't been here in a really long time because I keep going the wrong way. I'm picking up items we don't need, getting caught up on corners, but hey, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, as they always say. Now, I fully expect Mewtwo to crit us and one-shot us with a critical Psychic because, well, That's just how things go in Generation 1. Mewtwo's critical hit rate in Gen 1, I believe, is actually 1 in 4. So our growth strategy really will only take us so far because, although our special will be powered up quite a bit, critical hits do bypass stat changes in Generation 1. And hey, look at that, a critical hit one-shot Psychic. Who saw that coming? Well, I did because I'm editing the video. And now, thanks to landing a growth before we get hit by Psychic, you can see just what a difference it really makes. We're left with 22 health. We don't win this attempt here, I'm sure that's no surprise. As we get ready for round 3, Mewtwo will wake up early from Spore. Does hit us with Psychic, thankfully no crit, but you can see just what a difference growth makes. We take 86 damage. I know that sounds silly to say only 86 damage, but we are fighting Mewtwo at the end of the day, and Gen 1 is pretty good. And even with all 6 of our extra badge boosting growths, we're still slower than Mewtwo. Mewtwo's Swift doesn't do all that much to us, and neither does the follow-up Psychic. It only takes 3 body slams for Paris to take out Mewtwo.
What the heck even is this? Razador stealing my thunder at the end of this? What are you doing, dude? That's alright. I got a way to one-up Razador here, and it might just become something on the channel, who knows. I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna fight all of the legendaries with my Paris, and I'm just gonna see if I can beat them all. I'm gonna start off right here with the Moltres because it's the closest one, and let's just see if I can get through this fight. And if I can't, well then I'm just punishing myself unnecessarily because I already kind of said I was the winner, but you know, whatever works. So, Moltres time, let's go! I'm gonna try to put this one to sleep. And Peck did so much damage, okay. But that's alright. Just set up the growth, and hopefully I'm gonna get all of my growth set up here. It woke up. No. I'm dead. I need a much better sleep than this. Like, what? Why did I decide to do this? That fire spin's just destroyed me. Come on, come on. Come on, Paris, you got this. Oh, man, we don't have this. I just need to actually manage to put it to sleep and set up. Okay, we got the Mist turn 1 here. This is perfect. I'm setting up my growth. I'm hoping that he'll use, like, something not good. Now, wait, do I outspeed now? Oh, yes. Yes, yes, we got a slow Moltres this time. Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna finish my setup here. We need it to stay asleep. Let's see how much Solar Beam does. Oh, it woke up. Fire Spin Mist. Okay, good, good, good. Go back to sleep. And there we go. We knock it out. So now we can go back, and we gotta make our way to the next legendary bird, which is Articuno. Articuno's not gonna be great here either. Articuno's super effective with everything, isn't it? Oh god. Because Articuno has access to, whatchamacall, Ice Beam and Peck, both of which are super effective. Zapdos is gonna be the easiest legendary in this one. Oh god. Oh god. I'm very nervous. Alright, so we've made it to Articuno, so we just need luck here. That's all we need, right? Just get luck. So, Ice Beam just one-shot me. I think Peck is better, even though Peck is 4 times super effective. Yeah, okay, we can survive there. Now we just need to set up our growths, and hopefully... come on. We just need a sleep that lasts long enough. Come on, we got this. Shiitake, you can beat this legendary bird. There's no reason you can't beat it. Alright, so here we are outspeeding. Perfect. Yes, we can keep it asleep. Yes. Okay, we just need to finish our setup. It's still asleep. Go on, Solar Beam. Yes, that's the one-hit KO there. We got it. Next up, Zapdos, but this is going to be bad too, I think. It's ridiculous because I do always say that we'll give Zapdos his time to shine, but I didn't mean that it was going to be to just drill back my Paris to death. So, yeah, we gotta hope that this goes better. Thundershock. Just use Thundershock, please. There. Okay. See, we can survive electric-type moves. That's just fine. But Zapdos is really fast. I don't think we're gonna outspeed pretty much no matter what we do. Unless... Okay. Yeah, we are outspeeding. Okay. So now we can set up Spore, and now it's just a matter of finishing our setup. Solar Beam? Oh, it's a one-hit KO. Very nice. So with all of the legendary birds done, now we're gonna do what Razador did, and we're gonna go fight Mewtwo, and we're gonna fight it properly, okay? We're gonna take this down on the first attempt. I'm so confident in this. Like, Razador, you don't stand a chance in this one, dude. Get off my turf. No. But actually, I do think it's really funny and great that Razador has taken me up on this challenge and even included the Mewtwo fight at the end, dude. You're awesome. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to lots and lots of battles with Razador, and I mean, he put up such an incredible fight in this one, running on low DVs and still getting a good finish with a logical strategy. He wasn't that terribly overleveled. I mean, 9 levels is overleveled, Razador, but, you know, it's still fine. And really, most of the time, we were pretty close. It was really only in the middle game at Koga that we got really separated, so, you know, I thought the early game was really, really, really solid by him. And, I mean, at the end of the game, he was doing minimum battles because he was already, you know, just spot on with what he was doing. And Razador is probably consistent. I'm probably not consistent here, so that's also a thing. Anyway, before we get into the Mewtwo fight, let me just say, Razador, thank you so much for your support of the channel. You're awesome, dude. If you're enjoying this video, go and like and subscribe his channel, okay? That's what I want you to do. Don't like and subscribe this video. No, no, no. Go over to Razador's channel, check his Paris run, and give him the love, okay? Anyway, let's get into Mewtwo. Here, first attempt victory is what I'm thinking. We put it to sleep. I'm gonna set up my growths right here. Come on. No, he woke up. We just need, like, barrier. Oh, yes, barrier. Okay, we put him back to sleep. Perfect. Now we just need to finish our setup, but I don't think we can outspeed this one. Psychic takes me down. Okay, second attempt. Oh, we get wrecked. Oh, no. Okay, so third attempt. We're gonna put it to sleep. We're gonna set up our spores, and this one's not quite as fast. Maybe we can outspeed, but I don't think so. I think we just need barrier a ton of times. Okay, we survived Psychic thanks to all of those growths, so that's just fine. Now we can set up our Swords Dance just to get the extra badge boosts. And then, what do I do? Okay, I'm gonna put it back to sleep, and now Solar Beam. Not quite a 1-hit. We get the 2-hit, there we go. This shiitake mushroom has taken down the entire game. Anyway, that's just stupid and fun. I hope to have lots more runs like this. This was just way too much fun. I just cannot believe. We only had 53 speed at the end. Like, how does a Pokemon beat the game with only 53 speed? Double badge boosts are the way to go, though. I disagree with Razador's final moveset. The double badge boost glitch with Solar Beam is the play. That's my word anyway. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. See you in the next video. Later.